Hello everyone, welcome back again to Selenium WebDriver version 4 with Java Season 10. In today's session, you will learn how to handle shadow DOM and nested shadow DOM elements in Selenium WebDriver version 4 with Java. The document object model, sometimes known as DOM, represents the way a web page is accessed and manipulated. It defines the logical structure of the documents and represents the HTML document with a logical tree where each branch of the tree ends and each node contains object. Document object model methods allow user to programmatically access the tree and change the document structure, style, or content. Shadow DOM allows hidden DOM trees to be attached to elements in the regular DOM tree. The shadow DOM tree starts with the shadow root, underneath which user can attach any element in the same way as the normal DOM. Shadow DOM is primarily used for encapsulation. It provides a way for developer to create web elements or web components that are self-contained and reusable. By isolating the component structure and style, the shadow DOM prevents conflict with other part of the page and enables the development of complex web component that can be embedded and reused easily. There are a couple of terminology you need to understand whenever you are dealing with shadow DOM element. Shadow host, this is regular DOM node to which the shadow DOM is attached. Shadow tree, the DOM tree inside the shadow DOM. Shadow boundary, the place where the shadow DOM ends and normal or regular DOM begins. Shadow root, the root node of the shadow tree. So let's open a website and then you can understand how the shadow DOM actually works. So this is the website. If you open, this is shadow DOM, right? If you just right click here, click on the inspect button, you could able to see this part. Hello shadow DOM, right? You could see here. This is the starting with div. The whole section is there is a div. Okay, and after that there is a shadow root which is open, means this is the root, and after that normal tag is attached, right, starting with the p tag. So here you can create n number of normal DOM, but as and when you are creating shadow DOM, the normal DOM again can be attached to the shadow DOM element, but it will be differentiated. Why? Because in case you are using shadow DOM, for those elements you can create any style, any content, or you can go with any other structure, so which will not be similar to your parent one, right? So that is the importance of shadow DOM. But this kind of element, if we want to interact, it is not easily doable, because you could see there is no connections actually. This is the starting with div tag, but here there is no tag available. This is the shadow root, right? So this is separate sections actually coming in the web page, and you cannot right navigate here because div tag is available here, parent div tag is available, child div tag is available, but here there is no tag, any tag. It is completely has shadow root open, and within the shadow root there is a tag available. So in case I am able to come here, after that I can go here, but first I need to identify here. So that is the where, like shadow DOM will not work with the normal web element. We need to deal with different way. Let's see how we can deal with this kind of shadow DOM element. So there are several strategies user can use to access shadow DOM element in Selenium WebDriver version 4, including the two methods which are listed below. One is with the help of get shadow root method, and one is with the help of the JavaScript executor interface. So we'll first implement that get shadow root method. So this method is specifically designed to interact with shadow DOM elements. This method allows user to access the shadow DOM and perform actions on the element inside it. What are the steps we need to follow? First, you need to locate the element in the main DOM that contains the shadow DOM. The element is known as shadow host. Use standard Selenium locator. It can be ID, class name, XPath, his selector, link text, partial link text, anything. to identify the element which is available in the main DOM that contain the shadow DOM. Okay, so we'll create that shadow host first. Once shadow host is located, we need to use the get shadow root method on the web element object representing the shadow host. This method returns a search context object which represents the shadow root. So we need to call that method get shadow root with the shadow host element, and return type will be search context. We can store in some variable. Once it is done, with the help of the shadow root, we can try to locate the element inside the shadow DOM. So with the shadow root object, user can now locate element within the shadow DOM using standard Selenium locator. We can use primarily CS selector ID or name, but experts should not be used directly within the shadow root. So we are taking that shadow root object. Again, we are trying to identify the element, and return type will be web element. After that element is located or web element variable or the object is created, then we can deal with the object based on the object type. In case it is a text, we can get the text. It is a button, we can click on the button. It's a link or hyperlink, right? We can try to click on the link like that. Now let's see the implementation. So this is the shadow DOM element which we need to interact, right? You could see first there is a div tag. Okay, first we need to go to the shadow host which is hosting this shadow, right? After that we can come here, shadow root. After that, from the shadow root we can go to the element and we can interact. So this is the 3-step process we need to follow. Now let's see the implementation. So I have created a class called handle shadow DOM element, and we have defined global variable for the WebDriver interface driver. We have created the method called setup. We are creating the object for com driver, deleting all the cookies, giving timeout, implicit timeout 10 seconds, maximizing the browser, and after method will quitting the driver every time for every method. And this is our main test cases where we have created an object called handle shadow DOM element, and we are already trying to access the URL, right? Divert.get method. Now what we will do, we will try to create a web element for this shadow host. Okay, so we'll create an object for the shadow host. Let's create a web element. I can give the variable name called shadow host equal to driver dot find element by. So what is the option available? Content. ID equal to content. So let's see whether it's unique or not. You could see 1 out of 4. That is fine. But ID equal to content is coming only for one place. So ID equal to unique. So I can try to go with that ID. I can identify the element by dot ID with the content. So I already identified the shadow host. Now what I need to do? I need to take the shadow host and need to call the get shadow root method. So I will take the variable and I will call that get shadow root method. You could see return type is coming as search context. It is coming from the web element interface. So I'll be storing it. That search return type will be giving a search context and creating a variable there. So what I'll be doing, search context, and variable name we can give like shadow root. So I need to import that search context. Okay. So this is search context return type. Now after that, what I can do? After that, I already came here. Now, okay. Now I can try to go with that options. Okay. So I can create a web element called, this is my content, right? Shadow text. That is the web element. I can create it now. So I'll be creating a web element. Web element again. This is the text field. So I can create the variable name called shadow text element equal to, I need to take help from the shadow root, and I need to call driver shadow root dot find element. Instead of driver, your reference will be shadow root. Find element by, let's see how we can identify it. So always prefer, right, to go with that with the CSS instead of XPath. So what we can do, so CSS, if I try tag name, right, that is the tag. So I can try to identify it with the easily, because that P will be tag name and this is unique, right? So what I can do, I can try to call that by dot CSS selector, and you can simply give it the tag P. So with the help of that, you can able to identify it. Now what you can do, I can try to get the text. This is my text. So what I can do, I can try to use assert dot assert equal. Okay, so I can try to check that string. I can call the string method, that's fine. Let's call any method assert equal, and here you can give the variable name. This is my expected and this is the actual dot get text. And in case it's not matching, you can give some message, right, called shadow dom text does not match. That's all. Now let's try to run it, the code, and let's see whether happening or not. We can give some wait time. Okay, we can give some wait time called thread dot sleep 3 seconds. Now let's try to run the code and let's see what's happening now. So it is opening, identifying the shadow DOM element, and is passing here. You could see. So assertion is getting passed. Elements is being identified in three-step process. First, we are identifying that shadow host where shadow DOM is placed. This is my shadow host, and within that shadow root is there. So I am navigating here with the help of that get shadow root method. Once I came here from this shadow root, I am identifying this element right through that CSS selector where tag is already available. This is normal DOM element, right? After that, this is the text field. I can get the text, and what is the text? It should match with the shadow DOM text. So this is the text is available. Hello shadow DOM, okay, and it is matching. That is the reason this part is completely ignored. Okay, assert equals matching. Now we'll see the other implementation. How we can handle shadow DOM with the help of JavaScript executor. We'll see it. So handling shadow DOM element in Selenium WebDriver version 4 with Java can be achieved using JavaScript executor and following the couple of steps. First step is same. We need to locate the shadow host element in the main DOM which contain the shadow DOM. So you can use the same steps. Like I identify the element here, same step, there is nothing changed. So this part we will be changing it little bit. So this is the same step we need to follow, identify the element. After that identification is done, we need to create a object or instance for the JavaScript executor where you need to give the WebDriver reference. So what we will be doing, we will create a object or instance JavaScript. If you do not know, press something like type something called JavaScript EX and press Ctrl spacebar. You could see automatically coming. It is interface JavaScript executor coming from the org.open.selenium package. I can give the variable name equal to, I need to typecast the WebDriver object, which is driver here. Now it is created. Now with the help of that, that object reference, right? We need to execute JavaScript to retrieve the shadow root of the shadow host. So what we can do, we can create a shadow root with the help of that web element reference, right? Then dot execute script return argument 0 because that is the only thing, and shadow host. Okay, so this part we need to implement it. So this part also we can just comment it out. And here what we can do, we can try to create a web element, same name I can give it. Sorry, let's comment it out properly. Okay, web element shadow text element equal to, here you need to give the web element. What is the web element name? Web element type will be your, sorry, it will be not the web element. 1 second. No, this not this one. Okay, web element shadow text is, that is fine. Here we need to typecast that search context. Okay, search context, then the reference of the JavaScript executor, then dot execute skip method you need to call it, and here you need to give within the double quote return argument 0, returns arguments, return space argument, then 0, because this is the only argument we are handling, then dot same one, this web element reference here. Now which we are referring, this one we need to give it shadow host. That is the only stuff you need to give. You need to end with colon. Now let's see what the error is coming. Okay, so return type will be not the web element, return type will be search context here. Okay, and variable name we can give same way, right? So same thing, my bad. Okay, shadow root. Okay, here also you can change it to shadow root. Okay, so it will be search context. Okay, search context, and the JSC, which is JavaScript execute interface dot execute skip, and here I need to end with that double quote. That's all. Okay, now we can just uncommented this line, because this is the only line which are implementing in these two lines. This is the line we are implementing in these two lines. That's all. Otherwise remaining step is still same. So this part, whenever we are trying to identify the shadow root, we are just taking the help from the JavaScript text. We are creating the object code instance. Again, return type is search context. We are creating a variable for the shadow root, and we are giving the search context reference. Then object for the JavaScript executor, execute skip, return argument 0. That is the only stuff, shadow root, and this is the shadow host variable reference. And now, with the help of this shadow root, we are trying to create a web element, shadow text element with the help of the CS selector, waiting for 3 seconds and checking the same assertion. So that's all. Now let's run it and let's see how it is working. It should again pass the same way. You could see test case is getting passed, right? There is no fail. So this is the two way. One is with the help of this get shadow root method, and one with the help of the JavaScript executor method. You can handle shadow DOM elements. But next question will come that in case nested shadow DOM available, means there are multiple shadow DOM available, right? There is a root, then your there is a shadow DOM element, there is a root within the right first root, there might be some nested shadow DOM. So that is the way, right, how you can handle it. So first you need to identify outer shadow host, and from the outer shadow host web element reference, you need to go to the first shadow root. After that, with the help of the first shadow root web element reference, right, object reference, you need to go for the inner shadow host, and again you need to go to the inner shadow root. In case like two or three multiple level is there, so second inner shadow host and second inner shadow root, third inner shadow host, third inner shadow root. In case your third is the final one, then with the help of that you can identify your main web element, and based on the element locator types, right, you can like act accordingly. So if there are nested shadow DOMs, repeat the process for each level. Identify the element in the main DOM that contain the first level shadow DOM. Obtain the shadow root associated with the outer shadow host. Within the first shadow root, find the element that acts as the host for the next nested shadow DOM. Obtain the shadow root of this inner shadow host. Now, within the second shadow root, locate the desired element user want to interact with. Repeat the above process in case multiple label is there and if required, and go to the target element, which is your end result. After that, identify the target element, store in some web element, and then right, call the relevant operations from the WebDriver. Now we'll see the implementation of the nested shadow DOM. So let's try to create a another test called nested handle nested shadow DOM element. And for the first test case, what we can do, we can make it enabled equal to false. We can make it disabled. Okay, it will not be executed. So second one, what we can do, let's this part we can remove it. Okay, let's change the URL first. So what is the best example? Suppose if you open anywhere Chrome browsers, right? If you go to your download button, right, there is a download button available, and you could see there is a download history. Text is available. So this is the best example of your nested shadow DOM. Okay. So if you open this one, okay, you can, if you mouse it over to the element, you could see there is an H1 available, right? Header. Okay. And download history option is available, right? There. But you could see from where it is coming. Okay. You can come to the parent. Okay. You could come to the parent, right? This is the download manager section. There is a shadow root. Within the shadow root, there is a download options where ID is toolbar. Again, shadow root is there. After that, again, there is an toolbars available. After that, shadow root again there. After that, you can able to go to the item, which is ID equal to left content or left page, or name equal to product logo, and within which you'll be getting the H1 tag and you'll be getting the option called download history. So it is very tough until you are handling all the shadow root, which is nested one. So first we'll go here. Okay, and after that you need to handle all the shadow root one by one, and then only we can go to the text, this one. Okay, let's see the implementation. So what we will do, we are navigating to that URL first, chrome.download URL. We can go here first. Okay, we can try to identify the first shadow host. Okay, so driver dot find element, how we can identify. So this is the tag name. You could see download manager is the tag name. Okay, just like body, head, this is the download manager is the tag name. So how can I identify it? By dot tag name. So I will identify the host, shadow host, which is the host, first host. Identified it. Then what I will do, I will go to the shadow root, which is the first shadow root. Okay, so same way, shadow host dot get shadow root. Now I cannot go to that web element, right? So what I need to do again, I need to get the second shadow host and access its shadow root. So I need to access second shadow host and go to relevant shadow root. So what I can do, I can try to create a web element. Instead of shadow host, I can give something called shadow root, shadow host, or maybe host 2. Okay, and here we no need to take the divert object reference. What object reference we need to take? We need to take the object reference called shadow root, then dot find element. So I already came here from this download manager. I already came here from this shadow root. This is the parent shadow root reference. I need to come to here. So what is the ID? ID equal to toolbar. So I can take that one, find element by dot ID. Again, what is the ID? You can use ID, or you can create XPath also with the download hyphen toolbar tag and role equal to none. So as ID is available, so I'll simply identify ID. Okay, so we already came to the second shadow host. Okay, now with the second shadow host reference, I need to go to get the root. So what I will do, I'll create a variable again called root 2. So how can I go to the root 2? With the help of the host 2 reference and calling the get shadow root method. So I am coming here. From this one, again I need to come here, right? So I need to get the third shadow host and access it. Sorry, I need to go to the third shadow host and need to access it root. So here I need to call this one third shadow host and go to the relevant shadow root. So I can create variable of the host 3 and root 3. So I'll be changing it to host 3. So what is host 3? How I'll come? I'll come using that root 2 reference. So I'm coming to the root 2 here. Okay, root 2, and I can identify this one. Again, ID equal to still same. Okay, toolbar. So that is fine. Now I came to the host 3 and I'll be creating a variable called root 3. How I can come here? With the help of the host 3. Instead of host 2, I can come here, this one. So I already came here now. Now I can identify the element. You could see these are normal DOM, regular DOM, because this is not unattached. It is unattached, but here you are all getting regular DOM. So now you can identify the element. What is the way you can identify the element? You could see that any of the IDs, they are called left content. So you can identify the element with the help of the left content or left spacer, right? So I will try to identify the element now called left content. So this is the element. So I can identify it with the help of the by dot what is the ID, right? ID by dot ID. I can change it. So it will still not work. Why? Because I need to change the variable reference now. What I am referring? I am referring from the root 3. Then I am identifying the element. I can change the variable name, right? What is the variable name? Download history text. Okay, or shadow. Okay, nested shadow text element, and you can change it here. What is the text coming? This is the text. You can change it, so it should match now. And you can change something called nested shadow DOM text does not match in case not matching. Now let's try to run it and let's see what's happening now. Okay, test case getting passed. So how I am navigating? I am just opening the URL. This is my URL. Now, as and when I'm opening the URL, if I want to just get this one, you could see this is fine, but you need to go to the parent. You could see, right? Shadow host there. Again, shadow host is there to the top level. Again, shadow host is there. So first you need to go here. This is called shadow host. You need to identify it with the help of the tag name. Now from this tag name, this one you can go to the shadow root. So this is nothing but the shadow root, first shadow root. And with the help of the shadow host, I'm calling the method called get shadow root. I'm coming here. I'm coming here. From this one, I need to go to that second shadow host. Okay. So I'm creating a variable called host2 where we are trying to take the difference of shadow root and we are trying to identify it with the help of the ID. Now again from the host 2 I am creating again root 2 going to the root 2. So this is the shadow root. Sorry, yeah, this is the one and this is the one I'm coming. And now from this shadow root I need to go to the third host. So this is my third host. So I am again going with the help of this root 2. I'm creating a host 3 which ID is toolbar again, right? Or you can create using XPath as well if required. And from this one again I am going to the third shadow root. So this is the root 3 with the help of the host 3 and get shadow root method. And from this root, this is the final root, I am going to the main element, my main element. So this is the any of the stuff we can do it, right? Either name equal to product logo, ID equal to this one or this one, I can go it. And I am creating, I'm trying to like get the text which is download history. So I am just creating the web element called nested shadow DOM text element, and I am trying to assert it with the actual text. In case not matching, so it will be coming as nested shadow DOM text does not match. So that is the way we are running the test case and it is getting passed. So this is the way, right? You can deal with the shadow DOM and nested shadow DOM. So shadow DOM is primarily can be handled with two approach, one with the help of the get shadow root method and one with the help of the JavaScript executor. First, you need to identify the element which is the shadow host, and with any of the web element locator techniques. And from the shadow host, you can go to the shadow DOM where you can call the method called get shadow root. And with the help of the shadow root, you can go to your again regular DOM element with the primarily ID, name, or series selector. And then once your element identified, then you can do the element operation. Second approach is you can use the JavaScript executor. Mostly same, only you need to just change this part. Okay. And in case you are having some nested shadow DOM element, you can also go with that same approach. So first you need to identify the um, shadow host and shadow root. Again from the shadow root you can go to the next one and you can create the next shadow root. And again from the next shadow root you can go to the next shadow host and next shadow root until your element is achievable. And from the last shadow root you can go to your element identification and you can identify the element, and then you can deal accordingly. You can do some operation, you can do some assertion, and that is the way, like in Selenium WebDriver version 4 with Java, it is possible to handle any kind of shadow DOM or nested shadow DOM element. That's all from today's session, guys. Thank you.